Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today, and it's an honor for Meniga to be on the shortlist this year. We're very happy about that. Meniga is in the business of changing the financial services industry from within. We work with banks, trying to make banking better and more personal. Meniga reaches today over 35 million customers with our white label PFM software throughout 17 countries through our customers' digital banks. We are fortunate enough to work with many of the largest and most innovative banks in the world, including Santander, ING, mBank, and others. I don't expect this statement to be particularly controversial given the opening session today, but just to emphasize that in our opinion, the single most disruptive threat retail banks face today is the risk of customer disintermediation. So with the rapid shift to mobile and the likes of Apple, Google, and Facebook and others placing themselves between banks and their customers, banks are at real risk of losing their power position as the click is going ahead, as the number one go-to place for financial services. But disruption is not only about threats; it's also about opportunities. And with many of the bank's most profitable customers increasingly preferring mobile banking, banks are in fact firmly in a position to become one of those 4, 5, or 6 apps that we use every week or even every day. And I agree with what David Breer said this morning. Banks do have what it takes. They just need to start acting. And in this case, it's all about using your competitive advantage in this race. And in our opinion, that is access to bank customers and their financial data. And banks simply need to start using this to create better customer experiences and services in order to win this race, and before PSD2 enables others to leapfrog them. Core banking services in and of themselves are opportunities to create engagement. But more is needed for creating accelerated engagement, and that's what Meniga helps banks do. Our platform enables banks, our innovation platform enables banks to develop a variety of personalized financial services on top of our data enrichment engine. That includes personal finance robo-advisory, which is very much the modern way of doing robo-advisory, of doing PFM today. It's all about automatically generated insights and proactive advice to help people improve their finances. We also enable personalized merchant-funded card-linked offer programs, which is the modern way of doing loyalty programs. And so on and so forth. But in order to create a digital bank that drives weekly engagement, we need an environment that effectively integrates all of these services and facilitates continuous dialogue between the bank and the customer. And Meniga's flagship engagement functionality, the financial activity feed, is precisely that. The activity feed tells the story of the customer's financial life as it unfolds, and in a very familiar style, similar to what people are used to in Facebook. The feed mixes enriched transactions with a variety of personalized user events containing personal finance insights, advice, notifications, offers generated by our PFM engine. Each entry point or each item in the activity feed serves as an entry point or a gateway to more information or more functionality. So for example, if you swipe to the right on a transaction, you get the opportunity to change the category or to tag or split the category. If you double click, you get a spending overview in that particular category and with that particular merchant. If you right swipe an offer, you get information about why you're receiving the offer and the opportunity to accept it. So the automated user events, which is probably the part of our business that is closest to PFM robo-advisory, is of course key in creating this kind of engagement. And the user events have to be both fun and impactful, and Meniga enables a wide variety out-of-the-box user events as part of our financial feed. These include personal finance tips and advisory, such as the people like you spend less than 20% less than you on groceries, etc. It includes playful, event-driven notifications, kind of Swarm or Foursquare-like events like 20th time at Starbucks this week, first time at Burger King. Spending pattern warnings, low budget alerts, and insightful weekly and monthly spending reports. And of course, we also enable the personalized offers. Through the bank admin interface, banks can control which users see which events, thereby providing very personalized and unique customer experience. Banks are also, through this interface, able to create their own custom events and thereby innovating further on top of the platform. It's also a venue for monitoring event campaigns, so at any time the bank admin staff can inspect how it's going with each of the campaigns, how many people have seen the events, and so on and so forth. It seems like the presentation is just running away from me, but there we go. Yeah, exactly. So why should you work with Meniga? I mean, Meniga essentially works with banks to try to dramatically improve their digital engagement and create more frequent engagement. And we've been doing this for a while. The financial activity feed and the events have been on the market for a year. Some of the early metrics you see up on the screen. It's already improving engagement significantly, but we can do even better. And as we add more functionality and more user events to the system, the metrics are improving. We have several of our customers, including some of the ones that were up on the screen before, implementing this solution, and they will go live with it later this year. So we await that with excitement. But it's also important to note that those who succeed with us on this journey have an excellent opportunity to develop new business models and revenue streams on top of the engagement. And I think the best example of that and the best opportunity is merchant-funded card-linked marketing. Meniga has an independent PFM platform that we run in our domestic market, and we launched the CLM program on it a year ago. And it's already showing excellent per-user savings and program revenue metrics from this 1 year of operation, and we hope to launch it with one of our banks later this year. So that's all I have time for, so thank you for listening, and if you want to know more, please come and see me after the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your pitch. Please stay where you are. Now it's the time of the judges to ask some questions. Who would like to start?
What's your business model? What kind of do you have a licensing model?
Yes, our primary revenue income or income now is based on license and service and maintenance fees, professional services a little bit as well, and that's how we sell our PFM product and our innovation engine. With the card-linked marketing, which is also a part of our business, we do partnerships with banks, so we develop these type of loyalty programs with banks, and we do that on a revenue share basis. So the card-linked marketing programs are based on merchant-funded incomes. So the merchant pays for access to the system, and we take a share of the transaction, and we share that with the bank.
I gather you guys are very much collaborating rather than trying to disrupt the existing financial system.
Correct.
What are the biggest challenges you face in working with banks? Why doesn't every bank have Meniga plugged in?
Of course. I mean, I think one of the things is that they move quite slowly, but we've become accustomed to that. I mean, we've kind of managed to roll our system out across 40 banks in 7 years, but it takes time to make decisions, and we often have ideas that go quite far in terms of changing the way banks work today, and banks want to be more incremental. I think one of the things that the implications of that is that banks, if they like a solution which is going very far, then they develop something very independent, and then they launch it to like 500 people at a university, like sandbox innovation. And this is what we're really trying to get banks away from, because in our experience, sandbox innovation hardly ever leaves the playground. So what we're trying to make banks do is do incremental innovation in the mainstream. And I think the activity feed is an excellent example, because it's so easy to envision how that can transform gradually from a transaction statement to a categorized transaction statement with a little bit of interaction, with more and more user events, until you have a very compelling environment that people have lots of reasons to return to every day, or at least every week.
Maybe just a subsequent question. In terms of scaling up the business, is there a geographic limit placed on you at all, or is there any regulation that kind of limits how far you guys can go easily?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, we've probably spread out faster than you would recommend that a young startup company does. We're in 17 markets. I think most markets embrace personal finance management, and many markets embrace using data more aggressively, for example, for content marketing purposes. I would say, I come from Scandinavia. That's probably one of the more strict regulatory environments, where if you put up a pie chart of somebody's expenses in front of themselves, the regulator gives you a call. But that's something we've been able to surpass every time. So,
question. This is great, and basically it allows banks to differentiate. Having new way to serve their clients. How do you deal with serving different banks that operate in the same market? Because then, of course, differentiation decreases if you serve at the same time two banks in the same market.
Well, Meniga is a platform technology. So basically, when we serve a bank, we basically integrate transaction data, account data, all personal finance data into one database and one data warehouse. And we have an API that enables people to build things like the activity feed. Then we show the banks our best practice reference implementations. Some banks choose to just reskin what we have. Other banks develop their own. So there's room to differentiate and innovate and choose and pick the functionality that you believe is right for you. So we serve multiple banks in many markets.
And one very last question for me with respect to time, very short. Also, please, a short answer. We're here for a FinTech award. You have already won quite a few FinTech awards as Meniga. How important are they for your business? Very important, or completely useless?
No, I think they are important, because we get to come to an event like these and present both to investors that are important to our progression and to banks. And I think banks do look at this. Banks that are trying to innovate and want to innovate, they look. Your track record clearly matters. I think it matters more the younger you are as a company. I remember I wasn't there, but I have been told about the first time Meniga won at Finovate. There was a massive boost for the company. And we continue to come and we compete because it makes a difference, for sure.
Thank you very much. I'm sure Alex van Groningen would have liked that if he was in the room. Thank you very much for your time, the pitch, and the answers.